Have we got it right this time?
Let's see.
I thought I had a great technical assistant here. All I had to do was make a pizza. And we have not quite managed to get that one right. How are we doing, Ruth?
I hope we're okay.
Hope we're okay. Okay, well, I've lost my train of thought now. Where were we? Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to take some of these tiny seeds and actually grind some up. So I'm going to put them into my hand grinder that I've got here. And if you can come a bit forward, Ruth, and grind them up. And I have got some, it's a bit like Blue Peter, some that I made earlier. And basically, there we are. We've actually made some flour. Now I know the flour in our bag doesn't look like this, but that's because once the farmer has harvested his wheat, it goes off to the flour mill and it will go through lots of machines. It gets sieved and it gets cleaned and it gets blown and all the chaff is taken away, and eventually we've got this lovely white flour here. So I do find that all quite exciting, and it's a good start to our pizza. So let's get cooking. Hopefully you can all hear and see me.
And we're all okay.
And we're all okay. Well, never mind. Such things happen. Right, so I've got a set of scales here, and I've got a clear bowl, and into my bowl I'm going to add this lovely flour. So what I want is like 200 grams of flour. Now I think I mentioned this with Manager's flour. Manager's are Essex millers, and I like to make sure all the food I'm using is locally produced. I know it's sustainable, and my rule of thumb is don't buy it if it's had to come here in an aeroplane. So I've got that in my bowl. I can take my scales away now. I don't need them. And you know, guys and kids, the more you do this, you just get to know what it looks like. You don't actually have to. Sometimes I don't even weigh it out. So I'm going to add some salt, and I've got some Maldon sea salt. Maldon is a town in Essex. And I'm going to use some Easy Blend yeast, and easy to find in the supermarket. Doesn't matter. There's lots of various varieties, and it's one sachet, which is about 7 grams. I'm going to pop that in as well. Make sure your salt and yeast don't touch each other, because the salt will actually kill the yeast. And yeast is really exciting as well, because it's a bit like us, it's a living organism, so it's living and growing, but we need to wake it up a bit. So to wake it up, I'm going to feed it. What am I going to feed it with? Well, I'm going to feed it with some rapeseed oil, another one of my favourites for cooking. Why do I like rapeseed oil? Well, it's high in omega-3, and of course we grow it in Britain, and the colour is just gorgeous. The rape guys, is the fabulous yellow plant that you'll see sort of April, May time in the fields, but by the time it's ready to harvest, sort of in July, and the crop has died back, the pods, tiny, tiny, tiny little black seeds, and when you crush them, you just can't believe you get this fabulous golden oil. So that's going in there as well. Good glug, about a couple of tablespoons, a good glug. Put that on my table, and then our water, straight out the tap. So we'll pop that in as well, and there you go. We don't need to be adding any more ingredients to our pizza base, but just move that away. Now I use this paddle, my bread paddle, and mix it all together. There we are. Mine is quite wet. I perhaps put a little bit more water in there than I might have liked, but that's never a problem, because all I have to do...
So a couple of people saying that they never knew that salt kills the yeast.
Yes, it does.
Which is interesting.
It does, yes. It's fine when it's all mixed in there, just don't put it together to start with. So if your dough doesn't rise, that could be one of the many reasons. So what else do we need to know about this dough? Well, our flour contains protein, and they mix together, and what we're going to do is knead, and the reason you need to knead is to make the gluten and stretch the gluten. And it's great fun. I mean, it's just great fun. It's a bit like making Play-Doh, only, well, it's much more fun because you get to eat it at the end. So we're stretching, pushing, pulling, turning. I'm going to add a little bit more flour onto my table so that it doesn't stick. You can use oil as well. I sometimes like to put a little bit of oil on the table, but we seem to be doing fine. And do you know what? I always say to children, we've got two special tools in our hands, the heels of our hands, and they're just perfect for pushing that dough around. You can use your knuckles if you want, move it around the table, but it's all about stretching. So stretch it out, pull it back in. Stretch it out and pull it back in. And I would say we would do this for about 5 minutes, which goes quite quickly. You could sing a little song while you're doing so, or if you're making it with friends, have a chat with your friends, or you might be listening to the radio. But we do want to make sure we do need it for the right length of time, because we need to stretch it and get the yeast working. And what the yeast does is it emits carbon dioxide, and that will create lots of bubbles and push our dough up, and that's called proving. So we need our dough to prove. So to do so, we are going to pop it in back into my mixing bowl. There we are, it's back in there. So it's quite small at the moment. Then I am going to cover it with a tea towel, and we want to put it somewhere nice and warm to rise. And a day like today in Essex, the kitchen windowsill would be perfect. Or if your cooker is on, you could put it near your cooker. Don't put it in your cooker, just near your cooker. And some people put it in the airing cupboard to rise as well. But I'm just going to put mine over here near my nice warm cooker.
So if you've got time for a quick question, do you ever use wholemeal flour, or does it?
I do, and it obviously it makes a much healthier pizza. I wouldn't use completely wholemeal flour, or really it turns out a bit like a biscuit.
So could you do a mix?
You could cut it with half and half wholemeal and half strong white flour. Absolutely, without a doubt. You could use other flours as well, you could use semolina. Just always trial and error, and you'll find the pizza that you really like. I just like using this flour because it's a really nice, soft, springy result that you get. So over here I've got some that has been left to prove. So you can see that this is a lot bigger than the little one that I put to the side a minute ago. So we need to bring this back out of our basin, which I'm going to do. And I love these. They're just so much handier than a wooden spoon. Here we are, put my bowl to the side. And oh, it just feels lovely and smooth and springy. So just what I'm doing is just knocking the air out of it. And you know, if you can't be bothered making a pizza, this would just make really nice rolls or a little loaf of bread as well. So I'm going to use my favourite tool to cut it in half. So I've now got 2 pieces of dough, so we could make two little pizzas out of this amount. I'll put one to the side for now and keep this one. And I have got a wooden spoon here. I don't always use a wooden spoon because I love cooking, but I like things to be quick. So you can use your hand and make it into a round, or you can use your rolling pin. And did I call it a wooden spoon?
You did.
Well, you know, that would be hard using a wooden spoon, but it would be a rolling pin.
It certainly wouldn't.
I grew up using this rolling pin. My grandfather was a baker, and he taught me how to bake, taught me how to make bread. And when I was very small, I thought it was absolutely huge. So this rolling pin is actually 80 years old, and it's still going strong. So here we go. We've got a nice pizza base, and I find it easier to put it onto your baking tray before you start adding your toppings. Otherwise, it's quite hard to move it without everything falling off. You can see mine's not terribly round, and I don't really think that matters. You can make it whatever shape you like. thinking about buying local ingredients or even growing your own. So today I've actually got some onions that we're growing in the garden, and I've got some red and green peppers growing in the greenhouse. I've got some sweet corn not growing in my garden. I did have some lovely sweet corn from Suffolk last week, but this is tin sweet corn, and having a tin of sweet corn in your cupboard is fine. It's great. You're still going to get the vitamins from the vegetables, and really handy to have in your store cupboard. So I've got those to put on top, and we have to start with our tomato sauce. And my recipe, which I think will be online, has got a recipe for tomato sauce, or you can just use a passata. And spread that, I just use the back of my spoon to spread it over our pizza base. So we're starting, we've got this beautiful red colour, and I like to think about rainbows when I'm making pizzas. The more colour we add to our diet, so the more colourful fruit and veg, and I think we probably all know we should be aiming to eat sort of at least 5 fruit and veg a day, but the more colour you've got, the better. So I've started with my tomato sauce, and I'm going to pop on some onion.
So another quick question. How do you make sure that the pizza doesn't stick to your baking tray?
What a great question. And now I tend to use, these are non-stick
Come in for this.
sheets that you can buy. You can buy them online. You can
They're
buy
fab,
them.
aren't they?
They really are fabulous, and they really are non-stick. But you could just use some greaseproof paper, or use your fantastic rapeseed oil, and just put a little bit oil down as well.
And could you sprinkle a bit of flour as well? Would that help
You
underneath?
You could. I think I'm so used to using these fabulous sheets that, but yes, a little bit of flour as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy pizza baking trays that do have holes in them, but I cook mine not in a conventional oven. I cook it in a very hot agar, and I find this is great for me. But again, just I think the temperature I've put on my recipe is 230 or thereabouts. So I've got my onion, as much or as little as you want. I'm going to then add my lovely colourful chopped peppers. So this is seasonal. I'm using these summer veg, but you could use any seasonal veg depending on the time of year you're making your pizza. And also, I think they're actually great for leftovers. So if you had leftover chicken from a Sunday roast, or you had a few leftover sausages in the fridge or something, you could slice them up and add them to the top as well. And right, we're going to in with the yellow, with the sweet corn. You see, I just love the colours. I think particularly for children, it's I mean, some of the children that I've cooked with actually make smiley faces. So if you were making them for a party, you can make smiley faces, or you're making little tiny ones for lunch boxes or something. It's all about fun, like getting your hands into that flour and actually enjoying your food. Because I believe if you make something from scratch, then you're going to really enjoy it. And if you know how it's been produced by our wonderful British farmers, then it's even better. So we're going to finish with cheese. Now I haven't talked about dairy, but cheese is a dairy product and it's full of protein. It's also got lots of fat, so we're not going to smother it in cheese. But this is a strong cheddar that I'm using, because I like to think of this as a British pizza. So it's a strong cheddar that I'm using to pop on the top. And I thought earlier I must go and get some basil from my garden to put on there, which I didn't. But it'd be better to put on at the end anyway, after it's cooked. So there we have our pizza ready to go in our oven, and it'll only take about 10 minutes to cook. So again, they're really quick. You know, if you come home from work and you want to do it for supper, and then add some salad, then it's very quick and easy to make. So I'm going to pop this to one
And
side.
tasty too.
And tasty, yes. And what I have got, and you're very lucky because I had to make one earlier for my family that are here because they were just loving the smells that were going on in the kitchen. We've actually got a finished item, so I hope this doesn't look too much like one of these restaurants that you go into and think, gosh, I don't like the look of that. But we did make this just before we went live. We put this on the plate, and we went and got some lettuce from the garden. The cucumber was grown locally. The tomatoes are from the greenhouse, and some nice crunchy carrots. And for kids, it's we all know that pizzas can be such an unhealthy choice, particularly if you've just walked down the supermarket aisle and thought that would be handy for supper. But in actual fact, you can make your own, make it healthy, and it's just much more fun.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus that people are sort of saying a great idea for children, like a rainbow pizza.
I do cook adult meals as well, but I love cooking with children. And the farm where I work, like I say, I work for a farming family in Essex over in Billericay at Barleylands. We've got a fabulous education programme, and we have about 17,000 children a year coming from Essex schools in East London that get to cook pizzas and lots of other things. So I just like to hear that children are getting involved with their food. So I hope you've enjoyed my my little session today, and I hope you can have fun cooking some. And don't forget, tomorrow you need to tune back in I think it's about 10 AM in the morning. We've got Leaf Online Sunday. I keep going to say Open Farm Sunday, but we're Online Farm Sunday this year. And there'll be loads and loads of UK farmers with fabulous stories to tell, and so much to learn from them and enjoy. So nice to have met you all online. And
if there's any questions, you can answer them
if
in
there's
the
any
comments.
questions, I can answer them in the comments, and enjoy.
Thanks.